Greetings, goddesses, and welcome back to the Goddess Groove. Today I'd like to talk to you about still meditations. Although the Goddess Groove will mainly feature movement meditations, still meditations are equally as important because they allow us to reconnect. As a people, we've become so disconnected from what's real and what's true. We've become disconnected from nature and from each other. And since one is all, we've essentially become disconnected from ourselves and disconnected from our source. And we are born from perfect peace. Our source is perfect peace. Whatever is going on with our true selves, or on the inside, or in our minds, essentially, is what's reflected in the outer world, and we can see that disconnect. We can see that distortion, that greed, that poverty, that hate, that fear. It's all really fear-based. So a lot of us have identified with these false senses of self that are all fear-based, whether they're the result of social conditioning or inherited patterns of social of destructive behavior, or trying to provide ourselves with a false sense of security. They're all based on fear. So a lot of it has provided us with a fear-based mindset, and fear leads to destruction. Love leads to creation. So when we are meditating, we're connecting to our source and our creative energy. And for the sake of the Goddess Groove, since we as women are connecting to our divine terrain, our divine bodies, I like to have one hand on my womb center and one hand on my heart center to replenish that creative, divine, feminine energy. And when you meditate, you either want to be sitting or laying down. Just make sure when you're going to lay down that you're not meditating late at night or after a long day of hard work, because you don't want to fall asleep. Although one of the goals is to tap into that perfect peace. You want to be in a highly peaceful state. You don't want to fall asleep. So you could either lay down, just make sure you're not going to fall asleep, or you could sit up, and you don't have to be sitting, holding yourself up. You could lean on something if that's more comfortable for you. It's up to you, but you want to make sure you're in a space where you won't be disturbed or distracted. So with one hand on your womb center, the other hand on your heart center, you're going to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and you'll carry that breath throughout your entire meditation. It's important to focus on the breath during meditation because the breath is essentially life. The breath is that exchange of the receiving and the giving, the balance that is life. Life is a balance, and it's taking in and giving out. If you decide to hold your breath in, you'll eventually have to let it out. You can't take in so much without giving, and you can't give so much and deplete yourself so much without taking in. So when we breathe deeply during our meditation, we're again tapping into that life source and that peaceful and perfect energy and that peaceful and perfect true self. When you focus on your breath, when you breathe deeply in and out, you're calming your body and you're calming your mind. Now you will have those thoughts. You're not going to just go completely blank when you meditate, although we eventually want to get to that sense of just that state of just being. We want to essentially get to that state of just being. Your thoughts aren't going to stop on their own. But through meditation, what you will start to realize is that you are not your thoughts. You are the receiver of your thoughts. Our minds are essentially receptors. And like a radio signal, we're able to tune in to different stations. Our minds are able to tune into different stations. And now, I'm not going to say now, because I don't want to bring it into the present, but in the past we've been tuned into fear. And meditation, focused and intentional meditation, allows you to tune into the perfect peace and love that we were born from. And that's what we want to focus on when we're meditating. And when those thoughts come to us, we simply want to identify as the observer of those thoughts and not the creator of those thoughts. But when you observe those thoughts, you allow them to go as they come. No matter what the thought is, you allow it to go as it comes. And that's the issue that some of us have as far as identifying with our thoughts go. Because when the thoughts come, It might not necessarily even be true or be happening in this physical reality that we're living in, but we start to create it because we run with that thought. When that thought comes, we give it the attention and we allow it to manifest. When you give something attention, you're creating, you're pulling that vibration closer to yourselves, and you're matching that vibration when you attend to something. So then we make that a reality for ourselves. So when we meditate, you want to observe that thought and let it go. Observe that thought as it comes and let it go, because because your goal is to be in a simple state of being, in a simple state of peace. And you're not your thoughts, you're simply the receiver, and you want to receive, you want to tune into that perfect peace. You don't want to tune in to that fear-based mindset or that worry-based mindset. You want to tune into that perfect peace. So you observe those thoughts and you let them go, and the more you start to be the receiver and not the thinker, then you'll start to notice that those thoughts become less and less. And your radio signal goes from fear to worry to what if to what am I doing to just breathing. I just am. I am. You become the perfect I am. You become the one true I am. Just that sense of being and stillness and peace and love. And that's what meditation does for us. And when we meditate, we become not only the receivers, but the transmitters of that loving and that peaceful energy. So when more of us meditate, then we create that, we manifest that peaceful and loving energy more abundantly here on earth. And that's essentially what the Goddess Groove is. It's allowing us to heal the flow of creative energy in our womb spaces and tap into that ancient knowledge and that ancient wisdom and that healing energy, that healing capacity that we hold in our womb spaces and in our bodies as women. And in doing that, we are not only doing a service to ourselves, but to humanity as a whole, because we are one. So, yeah, you find yourself in a place where you won't be distracted. You're sitting or you're laying, you have one hand on your creative energy center and the other hand on your receptor of love, your heart center. And you breathe in and you breathe out, and you're giving gratitude for your breath, you're giving gratitude for your heart center and your womb center. And in that way you're healing, you're beginning a healing process of whatever thoughts are arising based on whatever we've gone through and whatever baggage we're holding in our heart center and our womb center. You're giving gratitude and you're saying it's okay to be in that space. You're telling yourself that it's okay to be in that space, and it's okay to have those thoughts, because those thoughts aren't you, and whatever happened to you aren't you. Whatever you did isn't you, because you are a perfect peace. You are perfect peace. Whatever happened before that happened, it's no longer here, but we're moving on. We're using those as lessons, and we're moving past that, and we're simply ascending to a place of perfect peace. That's all we're doing. We're ascending to a place of perfect peace, and it's a journey, and it's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen if that's your intention. Because whatever you attend to and whatever your attention is, that's what you attract. So for however long it takes, and however many times you trip up, keep your eye on the goal, keep your eye on the prize, and keep your intentions pure, keep your judgments down into yourself and away, and you'll start to attract that perfect peace. You'll start to attract that abundance of happiness and health and joy, because that's what you're paying attention to. And that's what's going to come to you. That's what you're manifesting. Meditation it's really simple. You can't teach a class on meditation. You just have to practice it. You just have to be, because it's just simply being in that state of perfect peace. And it will take practice, but it's possible. If you give yourself time, if you're patient with yourself, it's possible. So get to meditating, babies, and I'll see you on the next video.